Hello and welcome to From Fertility to Delivery. Today I have a special guest and a dear friend of mine, Dr. Simone Alicia, and I'd love to introduce all of you to Dr. Simone. Welcome, Dr. Simone.
Hello, thank you, and welcome, and thank you, everybody.
Yes, yes. Before we get into the actual interview and what we're going to talk about today, I wanted to talk about a little bio from Dr. Simone, which is off of her website, the Self Esteem Doctor Academy.com. Dr. Simone is a 5-star coach and jaw-dropping motivational speaker who transforms kids, teens, and adults around the world with her magnetic personality, amazing energy, and natural sense of humor. She mesmerizes audiences of all ages by helping them improve the way they think and feel about themselves and their lives using a powerful blend of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and other highly effective coaching tools. Dr. Simone's mission is to teach kids, teens, and families how to improve their mindset and maintain healthy self-esteem for now and throughout their lives. She teaches real world tools, tips, and techniques to help kids make real changes in their thoughts and behaviors and choices by focusing on simple and fun and proven methods. She helps kids and adults feel capable and ready to improve. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yes. So, my world is fertility and childbirth. Your world is the actual, the confidence, the mindset. And I wanted to connect those two worlds together because I think they mesh perfectly, and they're integrated. They're a part of themselves right there. So I wanted you to start off by talking about basically sharing your mindset of how you got into the vibe of fertility, how that looked, and just take it away.
I love that. And I just want to start by saying first, thank you for your brilliance in seeing the vision, seeing the connection. Because, we think about fertility and childbirth, and then you think mindset and confidence. You're like, what's the tie-in? And it's just so clear on our end where we're sitting what the tie-in is. And I'm just so thankful that you had the vision to say, let's talk about this together because there's a tie. And let's clarify this for, fellow moms, mom-to-be, people desiring this maternal experience. So thank you, first of all, for having me and for being so brilliant. Of course. Okay. And so when it comes to fertility and mindset, I think first, just kind of going back to the introduction, my specialty really is working on the way that we are thinking and feeling about ourselves. When you hear me call myself the self-esteem doctor, the way that I define self-esteem really is how are we working this machinery up here, right? What are those thoughts that are going on? How is that affecting our feelings and emotions? How are we navigating those? And ultimately, how does that affect our outcomes? So we take that very big definition, simple but big, and we now navigate it over to fertility. And we talk about where is your mindset at the time when you are trying to conceive or you're talking about fertility or you're interested in this world. Where is your mind? And then the mind is affecting the body's performance from a biochemical standpoint, all of that. So I really just love the fact that we're here talking about this because that mindset element is such a big part of success in everything, in anything. And fertility is no exception. So that's a really huge opportunity we have here to talk about that. And I love it. I love it.
Yes, it is. It's wonderful. Were there anything that stands out to you when you were on your fertility journey as a mom of two beautiful, one beautiful boy and one
Girl.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, I hope that this will bring some comfort to people who are tuned in. I didn't always have the tools to the degree that I have the tools now. And I think it's so important to have compassion for ourselves and love on ourselves and forgiveness for ourselves. It's part of that mindset journey before, during, and after the fertility process, the childbirthing process, and into the maternal process. It really is a growing and a learning experience. And that's why platforms like this are amazing so that you can get it at any stage. So when I first was pregnant or even trying to conceive, I didn't really have this language as clearly as I do now. I understood you should be positive. I understood positivity leads to stuff somehow, right? And this is now 12 years ago. but it wasn't as fine-tuned as it is now. So I was able to conceive my first daughter, and then the birthing process was just not fun, y'all. It was not. It was so interesting because I'm just naturally positive, but there were just naturally things that were trying to challenge the positivity. And I was like, what is happening here? And so I was able to learn to overcome that. So I feel like the inspiration for you here is no matter what that birthing journey looks like, you can still feel like somebody who's thrived at the end of it. And you can still learn at any stage of it and find your power at any stage of it. So I just know my personal experience was during the childbirth process, just I did not feel connected to my body. Like, what was that concept? Where was that when I needed it, right? Where were you, Dayna? Where did right? I was not, I just, and it was like, I wanted to go natural, but then there was enough like terror in my mind that like, I'm going to be natural with this doctor in the hospital. He just needs to follow my rules. And he did not want to follow my rules. And then it was like a battle, like take medicine. Do I need medicine? No, but take it. Why? Because I'm the doctor, because I said take medicine. I'm like, is my baby in trouble? I don't understand, you know? So it felt like chaos and it felt like confusion at the time. And I don't say this to scare you. I say this to say that sometimes we're super prepped. And if you're here pre-conceiving and you want to conceive, and you want to give birth, then I mean, amazing that you're going to start off with a really great set of tools. Take them all in from every angle. And if you've already passed that stage and now you're into that, you know, divine feminine, you're wanting to feel this connection and the baby's already here and you're like, did I mess this up? You didn't mess it up. Okay. We had an experience from which we can learn and from which we can heal and we can expand upon and use it as teaching tools to others. I remember when they put my baby on my chest, I was like confused. They're like, oh, baby. And I'm like, hi, baby. Like, what? You know, it was just so strange. And it's so not characteristic of the me that you would ever know at any point in talking to me. But it just brought a lot of what I guess you could call trauma at the time. I was really confused. But in that time, and as we're going to keep talking about throughout the call, I used a lot of mindset tools and principles to bring me to a place of wholeness. Like I'm whole anyway. And my relationship with my daughter is beautiful anyway. I mean, she's preteen now, so we got some of that stuff going on, but it is still beautiful. Right? It's a beautiful connection. So that's what I want to share about mine. And I would love to, you know, mention about a client I've had, Dayna, if that's yeah. Okay. So as a coach, as I mentioned before, the self-esteem concept can be so broad. It's literally mindset for a professional, mindset for an athlete, mindset for a child, mindset in high school, and mindset, of course, in fertility and the journey before, during, and after. And I had a client who came to me and she was like, listen, I would like to have a baby. And I think my body is just rejecting this. I am filled to the brim with anxiety. I am just an anxious person. And right there, I just noticed so much of the language was just really defining self as this person who is practically incapable because of anxiety. So in a session like that, I want to tell you about her journey, because in a session like that, number one is language, right? Like Dayna, you can agree, like the language that we're using sometimes is so limiting. And we don't realize it's a real thing, right? Like sometimes your language can be like, it's like a slap to the ovaries. It's like, it's actually like violent. We think, oh, it's just a word. I'm just saying. It's powerful and it's founded and rooted in thought and emotion. And it actually creates an impact in the chemicals and the hormones and the cells and everything in your body. And again, doesn't just affect fertility, but at this stage, it's so important to recognize that. So I shared with her some of the languaging things we could start right off. Just stop defining yourself as an anxious person. I'm experiencing anxiety. I'm feeling anxiety. I'm feeling and experiencing are normal. We're humans. We're going to experience all of it, y'all. I want to tell you that after this talk, you're just going to be like, hi, but maybe not. You know, we're still going to have all the emotions, but the language can either box us in and make that the definition of who we are and limit us in all the ways, or it can be an expansive way that we speak that says, this is a momentary experience that I can move through. Right. So this particular client, she We worked on her language. We worked on tools, neurolinguistic programming tools to help with the reframing of the way she was thinking, reframing of the way she was receiving and regarding her body. I would have her just like talk to herself, talk to her stomach, talk to her uterus, talk to her ovaries, talk to the cell, talk to everything, be friendly, be loving, embrace, like create this sense of life and connection with the body parts that you're asking to do things, right? You know, it's like, think of these things in our lives as friends. You know, if I would like Dayna to do something for me and I'm like, Dayna never does it, like she never helps me, Dayna's gonna be like, okay, then bet I'm not gonna help you. Or if she does, it's gonna be like with some resistance, like listen to how you're talking to me and you want me to do something for you, right? And vice versa, right? Right, Dayna?
Yeah.
So imagine now your body and you're like, oh, I can't conceive. This is impossible. This doesn't work for me. And I don't understand. And why is it so hard? And I have this. And your body's just like, uh-huh, okay. So I can't and I won't. Okay, never? Perfect, right? We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So that was a big piece of our coaching, and using techniques and tools and mindset and attitude and pumping really elevated positive emotions through the body, and just realize these have a real effect. And spoiler alert, she's with child. She conceived and I'm just through the moon. And the first day I talked to her, I was like, I'm gonna hold your baby in my arms. And she was like, okay. I'm like, if you let me, I mean, I'm not gonna just grab your child, but I was trying to be positive. And here it is. Here it is that she is with child and all is going well. And it's a marvelous, marvelous journey.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because it's actually the language is so important, even in fertility. And it's interesting because we all say trying to conceive. So I said that when I was first starting, but the word trying is not necessarily making it happen. Trying puts you on a hamster wheel, and we do it. It's subconscious, and we all do it. But the phrase "trying to conceive" actually creates infertility, depending on where you're at with your energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I got chills on that, y'all. I hope you heard
Yeah.
that. That was so good.
Yeah.
And I love how you threw the back of that, depending on where you are. So I just want to interject really quick. Because sometimes I feel like when we get into the language talk, people are like, oh, please, like now I can't be myself. I can't say like, oh my God, like you're gonna kill me. Like I can't say anything anymore. Like, okay, we're not saying you can't say anything, you can't be free and natural. We're just saying a couple of things. One, be aware that your words have an actual biochemical impact on the body. Do with that what you will. Number two, it's not just words. It's not like your cells speak English, Spanish, French, Dutch. It's that your words are tied to an emotion, a feeling, and those words are tied to that the emotion and feeling are in the forms of thoughts, and those can release chemicals. So if you truly have the capacity to say trying to conceive, and in your mind it's registering like, no, I'm gonna have this baby, then fine. I'm not here to tell you never say the word again. Like if you're like, I did it and I'm fine, that's why it didn't register for you, didn't have the weight that it may have for somebody else. So if I'm in pain, emotional pain, and I've already tried and haven't conceived yet, and I use the phrase, I'm trying to conceive. There's a desperation in there. There's a sadness in there. There's a lack in there. There's a inability that I'm trying to fight through. And that language from that particular person in that state of mind will have a greater impact on the body. So those of you who are like, I said that and I got 15 kids. I hear you. It's not just the words, it's the emotion behind the words and where you are in your life when you use those words. So that's what we mean. And that's for everything in life.
Yes. And that's where the mindset and the actual confidence comes into play. Yeah. So you did touch on the childbirth highlights. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about with that, or we could move on into like how NLP and hypnobirthing, which is what I teach, are very similar.
I love that. I'm actually super excited to hear your perspective also, seeing as, I went through my first two children without really applying a ton of the skills. However, I will say that by my second child, who at the time of this meeting right now is 9 going on 10, I was a lot more aware.
Yes.
I was more, my language changed significantly between the first child and the second. And again, I definitely allowed myself to toy around with feeling bad about that, you know, like oh my gosh, but you know, like I messed the first one up and the second one's going to be great. But because energy, you know, can't be created, can't be destroyed, always was, always will be, I do believe we have the ability to transmute that energy. So where there may have been lack or fear or lack of knowledge or confusion in that first birthing process, I definitely feel that through love, communication, lots of hugging, lots of touching. I think I was telling Dayna, don't judge me, y'all. Even if you do, that's fine. But listen, you know how they tell you, maybe you've heard it yet, that, you know, when you have the baby, you want to go skin to skin and like bond. Okay. Well, I missed that whole message for the first baby. So
Yeah.
literally this child is like a whole entire 12 years old. And I'm like,
Oh.
even just the arm, you don't want to like take the whole thing off. Just rub arms with mommy. And if I'm hugging them and my hands are on the clothes, I'm very conscious to be like off the clothes and on the skin. Like it's little subtle things, but I feel this sense of from a playful, accomplished, loving, safe place that I can still do skin to skin with you for the rest of my life. Like I'm fine. You know, I don't feel that lack, like I missed the window. And I think that again, that language and that energy pours into the relationship. Like, does she feel whole with me now? Or am I echoing something that may have been a rough start? Am I echoing it today and making even more of a problem? So my goal is never to echo that. So I will still do skin to skin to this day in my own various ways. Told y'all. Anyway, so so yeah, from that first birth to the second, I was much more relaxed. I was much more open. I was much more like in my mind, I had clearer language going on in my mind than I did before. Before it was kind of like, what's going on? What's happening? Why is he forcing me to have medication? Like that was the language, was just trying to figure out what's happening. And with the second one, I was like, I'm going to have this baby. I'm a flower. I'm meant to do this. My body's meant to do this. Like I was just in a different state. Now, I always knew my body was meant to do this. That's why I fought so hard against medication, but I wasn't in the enjoyable state of knowing my body was meant to do this. I was in a, my body's meant to do this and you're trying to cut me open and I'm not letting that happen and I'm going to have this. It was like this energy of like war, you know?
Yeah.
But by the second one, it was kind of like, oh no, it's all good. I am floating on a cloud and I'm just gonna, voila, this baby's just gonna just be like, hello, and it's gonna be great. And it sure was. And that's what happened.
That's awesome.
And it was
Yeah.
beautiful. It was beautiful. So I would love to have your techniques. And even though that window for me, as far as I believe is finished, I just think it's beautiful to kind of talk about this. And I love to go back and rewrite my story in my mind sometimes, not for the purpose of opening my mouth and lying to someone about what my birthing experience was, but just to rewrite in my mind this. It would be beautiful just to picture this birth happening this way, to bring the ease to my soul, to bring the ease to my cells, and just to relive that in a more perfect fashion or more, you know, healthy, divine fashion. It was really cathartic and therapeutic also. So bring it on, Ms. Dayna. I want to hear it. I want to hear about hypnobirthing similarities
Yes.
in terms of mindset and thought and body.
Yes, well, I think every woman that goes into their first birth is like that. I was like that, and I had all the tools, and I felt like I did all my research. I really like studied like I was going into the Olympics of birth. And
Nice.
so I did all of the subconscious block works and all of that. So I knew what to expect, but you're still nervous the first baby. And but at the same time, the second baby, that's when you've been through it, you know what to expect to an extent. Most second births or secondary actual childbirths, those are much quicker than the first one. Yeah. Now, and I think that confidence piece really is a part of that. And the fact that you knew about NLP, because NLP, neuralistic programming, I want to make sure I was saying that right. That is a part of hypnosis. And
Yes.
it's more of it's a different level. Hypnobirthing goes very deep, almost into the theta levels of actual hypnosis. So it's real deep because we have to clean up all of the fears that we've picked up from movies, from TV, a lot of the negative pictures that we have in our minds about birth, and also the stories we get
Yes.
from friends and family. But then
Yes.
NLP is a different level of that. So I want to kind of talk about how that connects, and
For
how
sure.
even if you don't go through a hypnobirthing class and you have these past traumas, you can still rewrite them. Is what I was, like you said, which is
Yes.
cool. I love that.
Yes. So I love that. Okay. So I'm getting excited, y'all. I like calm myself down because I'm like, yes, yes, NLP. Okay. So I've always thought of NLP as the cousin kind
Mhm.
of hypnosis. And because they're similar, but in our work, we don't necessarily bring you all the way down into, like you said, theta state. We are slowing you down out of high beta. Just
Mhm.
by the way we're talking, so your brain waves. So if you're not too familiar, you guys, like when you're in high beta, you're like busy. This is like the day is happening. I'm going to work and pick up the kids. I'm blah blah blah, right? And then beta is a little bit more like I'm still active throughout the day, but maybe not as a crazy day. And then the next one we slip into as we're getting ready maybe to fall asleep, going to a nap, even watching TV, we like slip into alpha. So your brain's just slowing down. Did I say that right? Yeah. Where brain is slowing down a little bit, and you're now more receptive to suggestions. That's why, side note, y'all, when you're watching TV and your brain waves are all slow, everything that's coming across the screen, you're more susceptible to kind of drink that in without rebuttal. That means your analytical mind that is really awake and buzzing during beta, your analytical mind is like, nope, nope, that's not right. That doesn't make any sense. That's crazy. I'm not going to do that. That analytical mind's like, oh, let me take a break. When you get into alpha, so when you're watching that movie and you're just like, totally zoned out, your analytical mind is like, I'm on break. And so your subconscious is like, tell me everything. I believe everything. And that's when you start to get all these really crazy programs that are in. Just like a computer, y'all, just like when you're coding a computer, you put in a program like, I am ugly, I can't conceive, life is hard, it's going to be tough, my kids are going to be crazy, and whatever it is, you're programming that, your brain sees it, and then you are literally ready for that life and to walk into that path. So when you're talking about now getting to a birth situation or a conceiving situation, there are pictures. Your mind is seeing in pictures. So your brain is formulating these pictures based on the programs that you've already run. Like Dayna was saying, from TV, conversations, your own belief systems, your own language that you're repeating, music, anything, your brain is open to suggestion always. And sometimes we're aware when we've taken the suggestion and we're running the program, but most of the time we're not aware. That's why it's sub or unconscious, because we are not conscious of this information. So when we're talking about NLP tied to the birthing process, a lot of times what can happen is that you paint a new picture, you rewrite over old pictures. So let's say I saw a picture and a woman was having like screaming her head off, because I mean, I only saw 27 trillion of those images like throughout my lifetime. Birthing means, right? You're just like, whoa, like
Yeah.
that's a lot. I did not see that coming, right?
Mhm.
So you have a picture in your mind right now that tells you, when I go to birth, it's going to be really painful. And I'm going to have to scream and grab my husband or my boyfriend or my partner's throat. And
Yeah.
I'm going to like, they're going to send like the exorcism. Like, you know what I mean? You have a picture in your mind. And while you might consciously be like, I won't like be like that, I know that's nonsense. They're like, there's a battle. There's your analytical mind. Like, that's ridiculous. I will never do that. Yes, you like, you know, that voice back there is like, oh, you will. You saw thousands of women do this. Your mom did it. You're gonna die. And you're like, oh my gosh, right? Like, and you're like, oh my god, wait, I don't even. And then that affects on your actual fertility, because you're like, I want to have a baby. I just don't want to have to actually give birth to it. How do I do this? What's going on? I don't know what to do. No, I want a baby. You know, and it's just complete and utter confusion, and you don't even know that. So the cleaning up process that Dayna just enlightened us to is a lot of what happens with NLP. Also, we more focus on the picture that is desired, and then we use that desired picture to replace an old picture that might be in your mind. So we have several techniques we can use to do that. One, for example, is called a swish pattern. So I might have a picture of me screaming and just going crazy in the hospital, and I literally create a new picture. What would I like to look like instead? So I bring up this picture of me like laid in the bed or sitting up, or however you would like to do it, like just feeling amazing. I feel support. I feel love. You can have any visual that brings you those emotions, right? Because remember, your thoughts are connected to feelings. So you create this picture in your mind and you say, this is what I would love to replace that with. And then we do an exercise where you physically imagine imagine grabbing that picture and replacing that picture, replacing that picture. And that's part of literally making a new synaptic connection. When your neurons fire off in your brain and say, let's believe this, we're creating a new one of those in your mind. So we can do that with imagery, swish patterns, something called submodalities, belief changes. I know this is just a lot of words right now. Don't worry. You don't have to memorize it. There will not be a test, but we use all of these techniques to create new images in your mind so that those become the new belief systems. So imagine you have a phone and you want to install an app, and the app is, healthy, safe, happy birth. Right now, the phone came equipped with loud, screaming, painful birth. And we're now saying we need to uninstall this app and install this app, or update that old app from the painful state and update it into the happy, healthy, peaceful, calm, loving, divine feminine birthing process. So it literally is a program. And that's how powerful your mind is. So as you're looking to conceive or birth, I'd be very mindful of what you watch. I'd be very mindful of what you're thinking about. Fearful things will pop in, no problem. Not asking you to be a robot. Just be aware. What would I like to think about instead? What would I like to program my body for instead? What would I like to tell my body to be prepared for instead? If I say to my body, this is going to hurt, get ready. My body is going to tense up every single muscle. It's going to pump stress hormones into my cells like nobody's business. And I am going to be tight and rigid and almost impossible to bring life into the world. If I'm pumping into my body and creating this picture, my body's meant to do this. I'm literally a flower. My body will open and give for this experience. I'm literally created in the divine feminine energy to do this. This is my body. Your body's going to be like, what? We can do this? And you're going to flood your system biochemically. Chemicals, hormones will flood your system that relax your muscles and send you the more euphoric feelings, and this dopamine and these different, beautiful hormones and things are going to flow through your body, all based in part by the pictures that you have in your mind, that belief system that you're holding. And you can train, retrain, program, reprogram, unprogram, all those things by having therapists, by having hypnobirthing coaches, by having life coaches and NLP coaches, by watching the right things, listening to the right things, and just being aware that everything you're watching, thinking, listening to, and doing is going to impact your physical body and the child inside of you, because that baby is also part of that energy and will feel all of that and be filled with the energy that you have within you when you bring that baby forth. It's going to be beautiful.
Absolutely. That's, I'm so glad you brought that up. It's like a healthier diet for your mind. It's the thoughts are the food. Absolutely.
Yes. I love that. Yeah, it baffles me when we go on healthy, we're like, I'm drinking all my water and I'm only eating veggies and this and proteins and it. And it's like, well, how are your thoughts going? You're like, oh no, I hate everything. Well, we're going to have to recalibrate a little bit. Yeah. Like something's off there a little bit, but sometimes we just don't know. And I think platforms like this, where we can spread this kind of knowledge, it's just like invaluable.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes. And that brings us into the foundation and self-esteem. It actually starts at birth. So what's happening with the mother, what's happening in the room, what's happening with the father or the partner, all of that moves into the child at birth. And this is where we come in, where you were both very proactive, but I'm focused only on the birth side of it. And then you are coming back maybe in like a teenage year, a kid year, a child year, and cleaning up what has happened, and creating more proactive type of ways of doing things in the future.
Like providing the tools, essentially. So okay, so I'm just going to ask again because I want to hear it right now too from you, Dayna. So from the birthing, from your work, you regard yourself as where do you come in for your power and expertise to share and to help elevate people in this journey? Are you feeling that you are with the moms before conception? Are you there during birth? Tell me a little bit more. Tell the people. We want to know again.
Yes. So basically, I come in when you're not even really. You could be on a lot of different levels. You could be right there ready to start a family. Maybe you just got married, whatever that looks like. You could be 10 years plus into it with infertility and miscarriages, maybe even a stillbirth, a lot of pain and trauma. I can work with all of those modalities to make sure that we get back on the right track. And then when it comes to the actual pregnancy, hypnobirthing is perfect when it's done right at the end of the second trimester and the beginning of the third trimester, because that's when, you know, the belly's growing there and you see it and you start to have those little fears because you know something the size of a watermelon is supposed to come out of you, and you need the tools to do it on your terms, to do it on your own. Yeah, so that's where hypnobirthing comes in, and all of those classes, that's what I'm offering as well. So thank you for asking that question.
Oh, for sure. I just want to make sure that they can really feel the integration and the tie-in here, and where, you know, we each play a role. So I just find it so necessary these days. And I just, you know, again, I love to talk to people probably coming from a lot of different backgrounds or different understandings or preferences. And I definitely can agree with those who will say, our bodies are made to do this. You know, why do I need tools? Why do I need training? I would say there was a time on this planet way before us where there weren't any influences or contrary bits of information that were steering us away from what was natural. So back in those days, I wasn't sitting and watching TV told me this was going to be painful. I wasn't watching, you know, this. I wasn't eating the same foods back then. There was like not refined sugars. I'm talking about way back, y'all. Like before, like horses, like before, like no buildings, right? Okay. And so there was a time. So you say, well, my body's supposed to do this. Like, why is all this? Why do we need all this coaching and training? And listen, I hear the impetus to go there. I do. And if you were growing up in that time where there was just no other counter information, nothing telling you can't do this, nothing challenging your sense of self, nothing challenging the ability that you have to do this, then you would just look at the animals running by in front of your prairie or whatever. You'd see them give birth and you'd be like, I can do it too, not a problem, right? And it isn't. We're built to do it. However, the time we're living in now, we are inundated with doubt, self-doubt. Everywhere you look, every time you blink, there is something telling you can't do something. Even the most mundane tasks, it's like, can I do that? Can I do that? Am I bad at that? Am I good at that? Will my body work? And between the food, the stress, the amount of work we're doing, we're not laying out, staring at the stars and making movies out of the clouds like back in the day. Now it's just so much more influence. And so because of the increase in potential negativity, the increase in the opportunity for doubt, the increase in the fear around natural things, and the medicalizing, is that a word? I don't know what it is today. The medicalizing of this process, we have to now reteach and reconnect you to a clearer space where those influences have less of an effect on you. And you can do what you should have been able to just go out in the backyard and just pop out a little baby, come back. We're going to try to get you back there, but in today's times, with today's threats and things around us. And I think that's just such a big testimony for the work that Dayna's doing. And of course, my role in it as well. But just, we need this now because of the time we're in. And I think the same thing for self-esteem. I just talked to a mom today and I was like, you know, when we increase the challenges, we need to increase the solutions. That's just natural, right? I mean, I'm from Jamaica, y'all, and I don't know if you have any knowledge, but they used to brush their teeth, like the certain sector of certain people, I think on Rasta or whoever in Jamaica, would just like chew on a sugar cane, and it was like cleaning up the teeth, right? Okay, maybe that worked because other than the sugar cane, they were eating bush and trees and whatever fruits, right? Now there is this much refined sugars. You cannot brush your teeth with sugar cane honey. You need some toothpaste, some floss. You need that because we've increased the challenges against the dental enamel world. So because we've increased those challenges, we have to increase solutions. So now we're in the dentist every 15 minutes. Now we got this and that. So it's the same thing as we're challenged with social media or challenged with our friends are doing this and I'm not doing that. And I work a 27,000-hour job and now I'm trying to be a mom and my mom had a bad experience. And it's just so much that now we do have to do things differently. And now to have a coach, to be trained, to have hypnosis, to know how your mind works, to understand the connection between mind, body, and soul, to understand the divinity within you is currently like the new standard of like education. I think, you know, we need a degree to be successful. Yeah, okay, great. But you also need a degree, a knowledge and understanding of self now to really be successful, because you have so much more potential than you have ever been told. And I just hope that we can be a huge impactful force of in letting you know how much power you have, because it's a lot. It's a
Yeah,
lot.
it is a
Yeah,
lot. Yeah, and
for
that comes
sure.
right back to your services. I think everything that I hear you saying, it all boils down to worthiness and how worthy
Yes.
you feel. So tell us a
Yes.
little bit more about your services that you have on
Yes.
your website, the Self Esteem Doctor Academy.com.
Yes. Okay. So not only do I do some one-on-one coaching, which is always fun because I get to help move you through, like I told you about the woman trying to conceive. I work with kids, I work with teens, I work with adults in all capacities, teachers, professionals, I work in the schools. And with that, the one-on-one coaching, I knew that the things I was doing had a massive impact and that it would be beautiful to be able to impact people on a bigger scale. So going from the one-on-ones, I also do motivational guest speaking, keynote appearances, things like that. That's also beautiful for getting a wider audience. But it also occurred to me, what about the small child living all the way across the other side of the world that they haven't hired me to come and do a talk, or they can't do a one-on-one with me, you know, whatever. How can I still make myself available to them? And the answer was make an academy, create a platform that's online, global, 24/7 access to be able to get the help that you need. The resources that worked, that got me massive results, stratospheric success with my clients, I took that and turned them into courses. So when I understood and uncovered what works in an affirmation, what is a positive aspect, how does that really work? What is it that makes someone make a good choice? How can we help someone to not be afraid of learning something new or understand the blueprint of success? Like, you follow these 3 steps, it's the same 3 steps. How do I do that? And I was like, we're going to put it online. We're going to take all that success and we're going to put it online so people can access it. So when you go to my academy online, that's what you're going to see are a series of courses. And I have them right now separated by like groups. So are you a child or a preteen? Are you a teenager? Are you an adult, professional, teacher, parent? Are you a school? Whatever it is that you need, you'll be find like the section that kind of appeals to you. And then you go in, you select a course and you can enroll in it and get started. And I'm really big on the sense of community. So part of you enrolling in that course then means that you have access to having 15-minute consults with either me or someone on my team to like ask questions about the course if you need some help. You always can do a 1 hour consultation with me. I prioritize my current clients and students and members. So it really is about saying you have access to something 24/7. If your coach is not available, if your person is not available, you can go somewhere to get some help. And a really fun story about that loops us right back to the beginning with the woman that I helped her to conceive. I helped her to conceive. I helped her to work
Oh,
her
good.
mindset.
Yeah.
Right, like, thank you.
Yeah.
Right. She there was one night, this is a true story, y'all. There was one night I was not obviously not available. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning or something. And she was on the verge of a panic attack. And this is something that she'd felt like she experienced all the time. And I'd already had her enroll in the academy. And sometimes when I'm dealing with my adults, you know, it's easy to tell the kids and teens and go in the academy. The moms are like, sure, fine. When you tell the adults go in the academy, they're like, okay, I mean, I'm an adult, but you want me to go in your academy? Okay, right? And I was like, get in the academy. She's okay. I did not yell. I'm kidding, y'all. So she enrolled in one of the resources that's called our free resource library. So I'm like, just check it out. You don't even have to invest anything. Just go in there and peek around. And I definitely recommended some things like this right here would be where you want to live because of what you're going through. So that night, 2 a.m., she feels like this rising of a potential panic attack. She jumps into my academy, goes into one of the tools that we provide there. In this particular instance, I think she said it was the tapping. I do some emotional freedom tapping, right? So we had that as a tool. If it wasn't that, it was something else, but I believe that's what it was. She jumps into the academy 2 a.m., looks at the resource, taps along with the tapping videos, and she's like, I did not have a panic attack. She goes, I've never been able to stop a panic attack like that. I just feel like I was able to just get myself back in control. And I was like, hot dog, that's why you got to get in the academy, like any time of day. And I tell you, it was a confidence boost for me too, y'all. Yes, I still like confidence boosts, even though I'm a self-esteem doctor. Okay. I was like, yes, yes, I knew I followed divine order to make sure I created this platform. And if she was the only person to ever use it, I would still feel fulfilled. But I know there's so much out there for all of you to use as well. So that is my academy. That is the type of power and access that we're wanting to provide, and also a sense of community where you can reach out and you're not alone on this journey. You can just continue to have the support, and it's just a powerful thing when you know where to turn for what you need.
Absolutely. That
Yeah.
was beautiful. Yeah, and
Thank you.
tapping is so strong and it's so simple at the same time. So I'm glad you did
Yes.
that. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
That's
It
something.
was a big jump, but I love it. I love it. And I just, oh, so amazing. I'm
It is.
excited, Dayna.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah. So, you know, with regards to all the tools, I know we both offer, I have tapping in my first class for the actual conception and the spiritual
Yes.
fertility. We do affirmations, making sure that they're current and present tense. And there's a lot of little things that go into
Yes.
making these courses. So I think
Yes.
that's what we want to, bring out. And it all boils down to that deservability, that worthiness that we feel in our hearts,
Yes.
and knowing that we are worthy, not just of confidence and the mindset that you're performing offering for people, but also that soft baby that you get to hold at the end of the whole journey, and you knew that it was worth it, and you did it your
Yes.
way, not anyone.
Yes.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
that is power. That is power. That is power. Oh, I love it. I love it. I think it's just such a beautiful marriage of modalities, marriage of tools. If you look at tapping in my academy, you're gonna get a very surface, like it's an introduction, it's an exposure. Like but if you want a deep dive and you want to get some really, that's where Dayna would come in. So again, our tools are just so when I really have a good flow with someone, I always get this picture in my mind. We talk about pictures, right? And I always get a picture of a zipper. It's like, you know how the zippers have to like complement in order to actually close. They can't be exactly the same. They have to be just one off in order to really interlock. And I'm just like, this feels like my zipper. This is zipper, y'all. You need both sides to close it up. You need both sides to close it up because this is beautiful. Like again, you're just going to get a little intro of how to tap. You probably would have had to have some background, not have to, but you would benefit from some background. So to be able to take a full course on that, highly recommend. I took a course on it, and I would highly recommend that you would do just get deeper into that with Dayna and her work. And for me, I would also say like the blueprint is something really amazing in my course for just understanding what are those steps to kind of manifesting what I want, to being clear in who I am and my deservability, myself. How do I really own that? How do I get my mind, like what steps would I take? And there's 3 steps that I describe in the self-esteem blueprint. So that would be where I would navigate you to first, is just go straight to the blueprint and start there, and then make sure you jump over to Dayna's course so that you understand some of the depth of the language of all the different tools that she's offering as well. It really is cool.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm
Yes.
bouncing, y'all.
This was a beautiful conversation. Hopefully we can do this again. I was trying to calculate it. We've actually known each other for 10 years, and it doesn't even feel like that because you weren't pregnant with your son yet before we met.
Right.
Yeah. So
What?
it's not long. Can you believe that? So cool.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that is amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
look at that. You see that? I love cool, easy friendships that can be blink and it's like, oh, that's been a
Yes.
decade. I'm like, these are my people. These are my people.
Absolutely. Very
I love
good.
it. Thank you.
My
Dayna, thank
pleasure.
you.
Tell our
Thank you.
audience again where they can find you, and we'll put the links in this
The
video.
description. Okay, perfect, y'all. Okay, so you can go to the Self Esteem Doctor. Okay, let me give you the easy one. Let me give you just the selfesteemdoctor.com, just all spelled out, the selfesteemdoctor.com, and that will take you everywhere. That'll take you to the academy, it'll take you to coaching, to calling, to anything you need. The selfesteemdoctor.com. Same thing on Instagram, the Self Esteem Doctor. You can follow me, and of course, I've got a little channel here too, but I can't think of the name at the moment. So
That's okay. It'll be in the links. Don't worry about it.
Oh, it's Self-Esteem Doctor. You know what? They changed a little at thing. Don't worry about it. It is the Self-Esteem Doctor, but we'll link it all down here. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Dayna. This was amazing.
Thank you so much. Enjoy and have a beautiful day, everyone. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.